Hello, Girl Gang. This is Amber Vargas, founder and owner of Girl Pursuit, and this is episode 25, talking about cultural disparity, the space between two worlds. Now, if I had to talk about something that has been on my mind almost a lot more lately than usual, it's something that I've tried to navigate, tried to understand, tried to make sense in my brain. Thinking about specifically about some families and how they navigate cultural identity so seamlessly. I am Pakistani born American. I consider myself American first. I had just turned 3 years old when I moved to America. So I don't know that side of the world or can relate to it. I grew up here in America. But I've seen that, there's American Pakistani families where kids are equally comfortable at being at a desi wedding and at a 4th of July barbecue. They speak Urdu just so well and English out with friends. They wear shalwar kameez. Shalwar kameez is the ethnic wear. They wear it with pride and wear Western clothing, jeans, t-shirts, tank tops without conflict. They're both fully without apology. And I look at them and I wonder and I think, why didn't that happen for me? I grew up Pakistani, I grew up in America, but I didn't feel like I was fully either. And I still really haven't felt fully either. I feel like I'm trying to be someone that has roots, and I want to show that to my children because they do have that a part of them in their blood. And maybe I'm answering my question right away, figuring it out as I'm speaking to you, that I'm trying to, it's up to me to, expose that culture to my children so they know what part of their mom, their mom's side of the family, where she comes from. And it's a part of them too. But I know just growing up, it's been really weird. I've always been in this in-between place where I'm too American for my culture or I'm too cultural for America. And I don't know if that's about the culture itself or the family dynamics, or is it about me? But the disconnect is really there, and I'm just trying to understand why. And the things that I navigate, the things that I observe is there's friends of ours that growing up, they were awesome. Great friends growing up, and they were born in America, and they're so, seeing them now, I'm connected with them on social media, and I see how embracing their heritage and culture is so profound in their families, and it's beautiful to see. And I've really just always wondered, why can't I do that? Or why couldn't I do that? Right? Why was it not something that I could just feel that was a part of me? It always felt conflicted. I felt more guilt instead of connection. I felt like I'm not enough for either identity. And then, oh my gosh, the confusion of why it feels so hard for me when I see others, right? And they make it look so easy. I don't know if it's because me not maintaining my cultural values, the language, the traditions, not marrying within the culture, not prioritizing that family community over individual desire, respecting my elders without questioning them. Do I carry the culture forward unchanged? And that's the disconnect, and that's my experience. But I know the reality that I've lived. I was raised in the US, right? the American schools, the American friends, the media. I absorbed the values here, the individualism, the independence. I questioned authority. I always wondered, I would most likely always question authority no matter where I was raised. I believe that to my core. I know I wanted to fit in. I know I still want to fit in and not really stand out. I want to be normal, but I also want to stand out in my own way. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I know that a lot of the culture and a lot of the things I had to do in order to be a part of any kind of gathering, I was doing a lot of performing. And I was just not naturally inhabited to it. I don't know if any of y'all feel that way. I know food is big, right? So food, it's very rich in spices and very rich in flavor, Pakistani food. And growing up loving it, but also being ashamed of it. It's sad when you hear about that now, when I think about it now. It's a lot of times, I'm not alone. I know my siblings can attest to this. We would get ready and we'd be like, Mom, please don't start cooking because you're going to get this stench in our clothes. And when we go out, we reek of the smell of the spices, of the onions that you cut, and the turmeric, and the cumin, and the curry, like all the spices and the chili. Like that was like my mom's basic, right? Add tomatoes in there too. That was like the basis of everything that she made. And I remember just feeling, ugh, she's making it again. It's gonna stink up my clothes. I hate this. Because there was shame around it, unfortunately. Like I wanted to fit in the American ways and have people like me and see the outward validation growing up, that I felt shame. I felt shame wearing my traditional clothing. Beautiful within family, but I felt shame going outside. Why, you may ask, why was that happening? Why did I feel a certain way? Is because there was parts of it, and I think a lot has to do with being teased and eventually bullied about it. I've talked about this before on one of my really early podcast episodes where I was bullied when I was a little kid, and I grew up in a melting pot. I grew up in Queens, New York, where it was an amazing array of different ethnicities and cultures and religions, and even then, it was not really accepted in some forms. There was always someone that didn't like it. And a lot of them were unfortunate boys that were, yes, of Caucasian descent, that, yeah, they were just look at me and say, ew, you smell. Ew, you're dirty. Or ew, why are you like this? And I would remember feeling like, what about me is so gross? Imagine being a 10, 11, 12-year-old girl and just wondering, like, what makes me so gross? Like, I'm just trying to figure me out. Also, besides the fact of trying to go through puberty, right? Like going through my menstrual cycle, like starting that, like doing all this, trying to be feminine, like trying to understand my body. And then the confusion of the roles of like, wait, I'm Pakistani, but I grew up in America, but I'm expected to do this and follow this and da 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 da. And it was so fucking hard. Yeah, a lot of the unfortunate pushback or pull away, right? Like the pullback from my cultural identity was because, one, I was definitely bullied a lot, and I never understood why. And I always tried to not be with my kind of people. Now, I don't know if that naturally gravitated, or is that my intuition just saying, like, get away from friends that are from your South Asian descent, or I just gravitated towards Greek and Hispanic, and that's the people the majority of my friends were. but they weren't Southeast Asian. It's like I just didn't want to identify as them. It's unfortunate, isn't it, when you think about it? That a child should not be ashamed of who they are and how they look. And unfortunately, society, environment, people around you shape you. I know religion was definitely like something that, it was an obligation to recite the Quran. It was an obligation to practice the 30 books. It was an obligation to pray 5 times a day. It was an obligation, like we were expected to do all these things. I don't mean to talk about this to say anything bad towards anybody and how their faith and how they practice it. To each his own, more power to you. I'm sharing my story and how I have felt, and maybe someone listening has felt this too. So just trying to bring some common ground, some commonality. I definitely knew it didn't feel authentic. It felt very performative. And I remember if I didn't say it a certain way or didn't do the exact steps, because damn, there's so many steps to praying, and what you have to say and what you have to do and how you have to do it and how you have to kneel and how you have to cover yourself and how you have to gaze and how you have, oh my gosh, all the shit. That was so much. It felt so much, and I remember feeling like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, for what? And I know a lot of it, and again, that and growing up and now being 39 years old, still, for the last decade, I've been trying to understand, why have I not connected the dots? Like, why have I not been proud of my culture or the religion that I grew up in? Once again, reiterating, I do not practice a categorized, like a religion, but I do believe in a higher power. I believe that there is a creator, and I believe that there is something bigger than us, and there is afterlife, and there is hope and prayer. But I just, the necessity or the need, the obligation, back to that same word of having it this way, it just never sat right with me. I remember having to wear traditional clothing, walking. We used to live in a condo unit. We moved up to Massachusetts, and my grandma used to live in the same neighborhood. And my sister and I, my mother had made us wear our traditional clothing, and I would feel embarrassed just walking within my own neighborhood, just to get to the other condo to go visit my grandma in my uncle's house. And it's just unfortunate. But then I see these women, that I've grown up with, and they're just so proud and confident in themselves, and damn, I wish I had that. And I didn't. I don't know if the interesting connection of being bullied from practicing a religion that I felt like I was disconnected with, being told what to do over and over again, told how to act, what to do, what to eat, what to wear. Yeah, that wasn't, yeah, I don't know. And it's like a girl that is so fully into her culture, that could be exactly my age, that grew up exactly the way I did, has no problem with it, right? Like, for her, this is the way it is. But for me, it's not. I didn't marry into the religion or culture either. My husband is Dominican. He is Caribbean. He grew up Catholic. That's another added on top interesting dynamic, that there was a lot of hate or hateful comments and commentary towards my parents, because how dare Amber? How dare she? Right? I know, why it's different for me. I know that it was family dynamics, right? Like, so the way that my family presented the culture. And that's not knocking on my parents and saying, oh my gosh, you did a horrible job. Because I have come to realize, and I want to say it more often than not, that my parents did the best they could with what they had. I mean, like, religion wasn't offered as a gift of curiosity for me. It was offered, or not even offered, it was demanded, and it was imposed as an obligation. Was there room for any kind of questions? No. There was demands for compliance. Was I celebrated for my uniqueness? No, not at all. I was shamed for not fitting the mold. I don't know. No, I take that back. I know that my father has struggled with his own identity. And I won't go into it. I want to respect him and not go into that. But I know for him and the exposure that he has given his children of how he was and has been definitely affected his 5 children and how we live our lives and go about our days. In a way, I appreciate my father for being the sailor that he was in the 70s and travel the world and, wanted us to broaden our horizons. And maybe that's what we get from him, without him actually teaching that, to broaden our horizon and not just see tunnel vision. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I know that with my family unit, I'm trying to have culture as a flexible, adaptive thing, something that's currently consistently evolving, instead of it being, this is the only way, if not, you do not believe, which I've been told by my 2 siblings at one time, which I've also said on a previous podcast, of like just questioning the religion and just asking, why do we do this? And both sister and one of the brothers saying, but then you're not Muslim if you don't believe. And I was just like, what the hell? So I have a brain. I can't ask and be curious. I just have to go along with it. What the fuck? So that was interesting. And that was also maybe my cue to be like, yeah, this isn't for me. The moment I can get that chance to, sure, say slip away or create my own path, I did. And I have. But I have this aching feeling of like, what is it that's kind of calling me back, or what is it that's kind of for my identity, for my children, for me? Like, how do I want to integrate that? And a lot more I have been talking about. And it's okay, it can happen, right? Like later in life, where you understand like what you want to bring in and what you don't want to bring in into your life. And yeah, I think that was something that it just made it so hard to preserve like cultural expectations. Like, I know that my grandmother, my grandparents, they like expected traditions to carry on, right? Without being asked, without being like out of curiosity, it was without being influenced in a positive way. And I don't know. I feel like it's the inheritance of like the weight of those expectations, right? The impossible task of being enough, the lack of like the roadmap of the hyphenated identity. And again, my parents were both Pakistani, born and raised there, and then moved to America in 1990. And like the guilt of leaving the homeland and starting from scratch in this whole new world, first world country, right? Like, was it meant to be that I was supposed to have this like generational trauma, like a piece of it, like because we were the first ones being raised in the American culture? And obviously, everyone's experiences are unique because it's your own perspective to it, to my own lived experience. And I know that the control that my parents didn't have over me specifically, again, I can only speak for myself, there was disconnection, right? So because they couldn't control me, it's all disconnected. And it's almost like, did we lose her because we can't control her? And I know that a lot of families of these cultural backgrounds, that these expectations, um, again, Southeast Asians, like that they expect, because if I don't have control over how you are going to live your life and how you view it, there's going to be a disconnection. Um, I'm pretty connected with my parents, um, and it's been good. It's not, it hasn't been an easy road. There's been bumps, but for the most part, we've been good. Um, yeah. So it's just, it's so interesting to grieve, right? Like the parts of my culture that were beautiful. And I do speak my language. I want to speak it more fluently. I've been trying to teach my children that. It's really hard to teach children that are raised with their first language as English, and then trying to teach them Spanish and Urdu. Um, but it's not impossible, though. It's not. I'm just in this in between of how do I figure this out? I'm kind of just going with the flow, right? I'm not trying to reject my culture. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not trying to be ashamed of it. I was before. I'm just disconnected. And I don't know if it's just fixable, right? Like, or this, it just is the way it is. And I can put in pieces and layers if I wish to do so. Disconnection is not failure. It's data. It's data that tells me that something about my culture was transmitted to me. Something about my family dynamic. Something about what I need to heal. I don't have to force the belonging. Maybe I'm meant to feel this 100%. Maybe this is my identity, being the hyphenated, living in the hyphen. Literal, figurative, right? And literal. I know I can try to honor my culture without performing. Trying to appreciate the parts of it without adapting to it or adopting all of it, you know? I will try to pass down what resonates with me. And I'm definitely going to release what doesn't. Just, yeah. And I have. It's just so interesting how I have to create my own version. And that in itself, being girl pursuit, embracing the fire inside me, is something that is so multi-layered. It's so convoluted if you think about it. It's a lot, but it's something that I need to go through, and I am going through, and I am thinking about, and it's okay. There are a lot of things, a part of my culture that I do want to, and I have kind of grieved about that I haven't been able to do with my kids, and I need to be on top of that a little more, or just get it done, right? Like, just get it done so I can show them that this is a part of your identity in some way. But I want to have it and present it in a curiosity form, and I hope I have been and keep doing so. Now, from feeling the guilt to about the disconnection to the curiosity because of its origins, that's something that I need to be in tune with. And instead of forcing things, I'm going to honor the complexity of it all. And the pursuit of understanding my identity without judgment. The pursuit of the cultural connection on my terms. The pursuit of releasing the should and honoring, like, the way it is. The pursuit to myself first. Gutsy enough for being honest about my disconnect. Grounded enough to try to seek the roots of it. Goddess enough, honoring all the parts of my identity, which I'm trying to do so much more of. Grit and living in that discomfort, right? That in between, that yucky feeling. And the pursuit of trying to be a gangsta about it. Rejecting the shame. Rejecting the shame. So maybe the hard truth is that maybe the disconnect isn't something to fix, it's something to just understand, right? Maybe I'm supposed to feel fully Pakistani. I'm not supposed to feel fully Pakistani or fully American. I'm just supposed to be fully me. And that me is made up of both neither, and it's something entirely new. So, if you're someone who grew up between two worlds and you don't feel like you fully belong or fit in, if you look at your families who navigate cultural duality so seamlessly and wonder why you can't, I want you to know that your disconnect is not failure. It's because you're trying. You're not trying hard enough. It's not because you're not trying hard enough. Or because you're a bad daughter. Or because you've abandoned your roots. It's because cultural identity is complex. Especially when it's transmitted through generations who are also navigating displacement and the impossible pressure of preserving something that's constantly evolving. You don't have to force it to belong. You don't have to perform culture to honor it. You get to decide what resonates. What you carry forward and what you release. And if you live in the in-between, that's not failure. That's your identity. Own that hyphen. Embrace the complexity. And trust the fire inside you doesn't need to fit neatly into one box. Because you were never meant to. Embrace the fire inside every girl. And with that, y'all, I bid y'all farewell. And until the next episode, take care.